You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Friday, 21st day of June, 2019. Everybody's been working for the weekend, and by golly, here it is. You got big plans? I'd love to hear about them. Put it in the chat box. But right here, right now, that's where you are, that's where I am, that's where we all are. This is where we gather each day at 12 noon Eastern to compare notes, to talk about trading, and to try and solve all of the world's problems. So we're certainly glad that you've joined us on this day. I have a chart up of the S&P 500 Emini Futures. If you can't see the chart, that means you won't be able to see any of the charts throughout the entire broadcast. So I have a suggestion. Go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, there's a large microphone. Can't miss it. Click it, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds. And that will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. In fact, you'll even get a reminder email about an hour before the show starts each day, reminding you that the show starts in an hour so that you can be ready, right? We always want to be ready, and we don't want to be left behind. Now, if you want to opt out of that email reminder, because I know some people who don't mess with the sanctity of my inbox, so we don't ever want to offend. So just opt out and set an alert on your phone or something, okay? Now, there will be days where you're on a little vacation, or you're just out having coffee, or for whatever reason, you're out of the office, away from the desktop computer. Grab a browser and point it to youtube.com/CFRN/live, youtube.com/CFRN/live. And when you get there, be sure and click the subscribe button, because that's where you're going to find each and every day a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it happens, brought to you by the good folks at YouTube. Thanks, YouTube. All right. This chart I have up on this Friday, S&P 500 Emini Futures. I gotta say, it's just been an incredible week to be a CFRN partner or passport holder. Every week's good. This week, especially nice. And a lot of the things that we talk about every day, part of our methodology, the lens through which we see markets, how we think. There are weeks when the market just hands you these textbook examples, for lack of a better term, just one after the other. Now, I won't go into great detail right here, but I'll just say we're going to talk during this radio broadcast today. When I come back in a few minutes, we're going to talk about the weekly trading zones. The weekly trading zones are very kind to us each and every week. But again, some weeks you get that textbook image. You've all read different trading books, I'm sure, on technical analysis. And there's always a cherry-picked example to help make the point. And it usually says, now it's not always going to look exactly like this. But in a perfect world, this is how, whatever thing they're trying to teach you, this is how it should look, or reasonably close. This week, we've had just some beautiful opportunities, and I'm going to go into more detail when I come back. I also have news for you, and there's actually quite a bit of news for you today. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump over to the numbers from around the world, get that out of the way, and then give Michael an opportunity to come in and do the recap. When he's done, I'll walk you through the news, I'll walk you through the charts, I'll walk you through the Concierge Trade Alerts. I will walk you through the Logic 247. And I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to talk to you about the webinar that we're going to have Sunday afternoon. That's right, Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern, 1 hour before the Globex session opens. I'm going to talk to you about bird dog trading. Bird dog trading is not so much a thing or a place as it is a concept. A groovy concept at that. People don't use groovy enough anymore. That's what I think. We're going to personal campaign to bring back groovy. All right? I'll talk to you about bird dog trading when I come back. Let's go to those numbers right here, right now. Stand by. I think I already have my fresh data loaded. Yeah, we'll load it again. Here we go. All right. In the U.S., the Dow is currently up 46 points. NASDAQ is down 17. S&P 500 down 1.5. And the Russell 2000 down 10. Now, the Russell was the first one to make a move on the downside this morning, right at the opening bell. And I've been watching the other indices closely to see if they're going to follow. There was sort of a disconnect between the Russell and the other indices this morning, and I'll point that out as the show progresses. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 51 cents, trading 57.58 last, almost 1%. Gold, go gold, up $4.50, trading 1401.40 last. In the Asian markets, at the close, the Nikkei was down 204 points. That's almost 1%. The Shanghai added 14 points, and now for the Shanghai, just 14 points, that's half of 1%. And the Hang Seng lost 76 points on the Friday session. In the European markets, at the close, the FTSE was down 17, the DAX was down 15, and the CAC was down 7. That gives us a mixed day in Asia, a red day in the UK, and thanks to the Dow, it is a mixed day here in the US of A. Dow being the only one in the green, NASDAQ, S&P, Russell, all three underwater. Who's got it right? I bet you we find out before this radio program is over. So, Michael, if you are ready, sir.
I am here. I am here, and I am ready. Okay, here we go. Coming over to this side. All right. Now, let me just check who's in the audience here. Suresh, I just sent you the email with the link for the meeting.
I scanned everyone's forehead as they came in.
Okay, good. A little retina scan too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, I'm out and you're in.
Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Today's Friday, the 21st day of June, 2019. Now, today we had some pretty good action. We missed a bunch on gold. I'm sad about that, but we did get the goal for the day. Today it took 79 minutes and 5 trades to get to the goal. At that point, we're up $115 a contract. Let me just first show you how to take a free trial with us. Here, go to the home page at CFRN.net. Right over here on the right-hand column, it says apply.cfrn.net. If you click on that, you will be brought to this page, where all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number, and if you can tell us what your trading challenges are, we may be able to tailor the training to you. Okay? Yeah. That's that part. All right, now let's just go through the trade setups. Okay, there was some the hiccups again. I've had them all morning. There was some good movement on gold today, and our first trade opportunity was right here on gold. As a matter of fact, we picked up 2 ticks right there. We missed the follow-up trade right there, and then gold started to tank. Now there was nothing we could do in here. And here, I was looking at the cycle down here when this was happening, and then we got over here, and this was a great trade opportunity right here. I missed it, and I missed the follow-up one, and then it went long over here. I missed that too. Then I stopped out, and that put me at -6 on gold. Then I had a break even. I missed that beautiful long trade right there, but I did get a piece out of this one. I got 10 ticks out of this. So that put us at +4 in the morning session for gold. So gold has been all over the place. It's been all over the map. I'm going to put it on a larger time frame so you can see it a little bit better. Yeah. You see, it started out tanking, and now it's done almost 100% retracement. So gold's been all over the place today. And now the euro. We did do stuff on the euro today. We had 6 ticks here. Well, it started out here. We missed a momentum long trade right there. And then we picked up 6 ticks right here. And we picked up another 6 ticks right here to give us 12 ticks on the euro. We had a break even right there. During the break, there was a long trade right here to capture that leg up. Another long trade there to capture that leg up. Another long trade there to capture that little bit of a move. But now the cycle's going down too steep to consider any more long trades. Okay, so the euro had pretty good volatility today, and we did all right with it. All right, we ended up, what did we end up with? +4 on gold, +4 on crude, and +12 on the euro. That's what we ended up with. So that was 12 on the euro. Okay, and on the crude, yeah, we had a couple of, here, let's scroll backwards. There we go. Okay, we were break even here. We picked up 2 ticks on this down close off the BBC right here. Now down here, you know, the cycle was red and below the green line, and the MA1 was still red. That's our highest probability trade setup. It pulled back pretty deep, but it ended up giving us 2 ticks. Well, I trailed my stock to 2 ticks, and it really did end up going down. That's our highest probability trade setup. We ended up with a break even there. We missed a long trade right here. And over here, we picked up another couple of ticks, giving us +4. Now, as you move through, there was a bounce off the BBC right here during a break that probably would have been a break-even trade. Okay, and that again is the highest probability trade, but this one I think would have been a break-even. Because the MA1 is red, the cycle is red, green line is pulled all the way away from it, and we actually bounced off the BBC. But this is a head and shoulders pattern. Not that we're pattern traders, but this is a head and shoulders pattern. And it needed to break through the shoulder, and it really hasn't done it yet. So now it's probably just going to be choppy for a while. But that is crude oil right now. Yeah, during the break, once we put in a lower swing over here, and those, did we actually break? Yeah, we did break it. So there was a shorting opportunity right there that was good for about 8 ticks. It turned around, went the other way, and well, there was 1 trade opportunity right here. That would have been a break even. And that was it on the crude. Okay, on the ES, wow, that's ugly. Okay, on the ES, here we go. We didn't do anything with the ES today. It moved down. I mean, it had, let's look at it on a larger time frame for a minute, okay? You can see after yesterday, and Dwayne's probably going to talk about this earlier, but yesterday, when it was up here, yesterday morning, I said, you know, we're probably going to have a 20-point range in the ES today and look for it to get down to the zone down below us. And it did that. And then it got back up to the zone above. And now it just bounced off the zone above. This is the highest weekly trading zone. And it, you know, on the 15-minute, you can't really see how price acted, but it did get up above it a little bit. And I think, I'm not sure, Dwayne can probably tell you in a minute. I think these are all-time highs here, and or pretty darn close to all-time highs. And it went up. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought they were. And then it went up there and it retraced off it. Now that's on a 15-minute chart. Now I'm going to look at it here in my world, and my 4-tick range world. And here we go. So all of this was just chopped. We didn't have anything that we could do in there. You know, it was slowly grinding up, but the cycle's telling us, no, stay away. Till right over here. And where was this? 1104. Now we couldn't take this because it would have been a momentum trade going into dynamic resistance, and that is against the rules. But we could take this. That right there would have been a long trade. Okay, right in there. I didn't notice it when it was happening. Oh, my dog. I didn't notice it when it was happening. And then during the break, let's see, there was a shorting opportunity right here that looks like it would have stopped you out. And there was another one right here that would have been a break even. And that was it on the ES. Okay. And that was it for the day. It's, it was we had a good morning. I had one stop out. We had 10 trades this morning. And on gold, one was for +2, one was for -8, and one was for +10. On the euro, one was for +6, and the other one was also for +6, and we had to break even. And we also had to break even on gold. On crude, we had a break even and a +2 and a +2. So that put us at +4, +12, and +4 on the morning session. Yeah, and that's how it went this morning. Okay. So if and let me just HIJK. Yeah, okay. If you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, go to the home page at CFRN.net. Over here in the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial, apply.cfrn.net. You can click on that, or down here, free 5-day trial, you can click on that. Use proprietary indicators free, you can click on that. There's even another one farther down. If you click on any one of those, it's going to bring you to this page. Okay, where all we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. And you can tell us your biggest trading challenge if you want to, because then we can tailor the training to you. When we can, we'll set up a one-on-one with you and do whatever you need to try to get you to understand what's going on. Okay? All right. And with that, I can pass it back out to Studio A, fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready. Okay, minimize this. Now, what do we have going on right here? All right, we're stuck at dynamic support right here. It is not broken, this dynamic support. What that means is that any entry would have to be above the MA1. We broke dynamic support here, and that's good. It's good that these markets are looking similar, okay, because they usually go in the same direction. If they're going in the opposite directions, if gold and the euro going in opposite directions, it's usually best to stay out of both of them. But we trade what's in front of us. All right, and there is a trend line, and there is a trend line. And you see the problem over here is we have lower highs and higher lows. The ES, well, the cycle's starting to go up too steep to go short. So I don't think that that's going to work out. But that is what happened this morning and what's actually going on right now. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, I did. I did. And then I went over some more trade setups. That's okay. Nice. Has it really? Yeah, you put it up high. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's awful. Hmm. Mhm. Yeah, well, that's all you need, and you save $400. That's good. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. That's your new habit. That sounds like a good one, though. I don't know. Okay. Today it took 79 minutes and 5 trades to get to the goal. At that point, we're at $115 per contract. 79 minutes, 5 trades, 115. Yeah, 1 contract. Yep. Yeah, we did. We did yesterday. Yeah. 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 Oh yeah. Yeah. And we bought everything. We bought everything. Yep. Okay. I got it. Well, right now, guys, what Dwayne was talking about is, you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. You have to have a trading plan. And we supply you with a trading plan when you become a partner. And we supply you with a path that you can take if you choose to. And most people do. Most people do choose to do that. And, over time, they may find some other thing that helps them. And, usually in the partners meetings on Thursday nights, we encourage people to share that with everybody, so that everybody can get, can benefit from the knowledge. It's like the hive mind. We have a bunch of people showing up on every Thursday, and if somebody's, like all the other trades that I normally do a webinar on Fridays. Well, it was Tuesday trades, like the Tuesday trades. The 164, the 128, the 137. Now, those were all things that other people had seen or noticed. And then we looked at them, and over time, we verified them. And now those are called the other trades. The other trades are Tuesday trades. And if you don't know, hang on a sec, let me find it here. Hang on. Yeah, let me find it. I'm going to find a link for you, and I'm going to paste it in the box, in the question box. If you don't know what those trades are, you simply need to go here. Hang on, I just got it. I'm going to bring this back up. You simply need to go here to check them out. There's a bunch of videos there. You could also go to cfrn.net/emini-Tuesday. Those are going to be older than the ones that I just gave you the link to, but they're still there. And it's all the same. Every week that I'm going over the same stuff, it's just, the markets are different every week. So, some weeks it'll be more obvious to you. Some weeks it'll jump right out, and some weeks it'll be a little more complicated to see. But you got to have a plan. You have to have a plan. Plan the trade and trade the plan. And the risk management is the biggest thing. Okay? Anybody can enter a trade. Anybody can enter a trade, but knowing what to do once you're in the trade, that is a totally different thing. Okay? So, all right. Back to Dwayne.
Yeah, okay, I'm back. Thank you very much for that.
Okay. Give a little spell.
Okay. Now, let me see. John's not here yet, is he? I haven't spoke to him.
Nope. Nope,
Okay.
he's not.
Okay. Well, let me do this, guys. I said I was going to go over the weekly trading zones before anybody heads out into the weekend. Let me just do that. I did it, I think, yesterday or the day before here on the show, and I went over it last night in the workshop. But it's really so important, especially if you're learning to address the markets in the manner that we do. If you're learning our methodology, if you're using our indicators, the weekly trading zone, they dovetail in to the indicators, to the methodology, the fundamental principle that underlies the foundation of everything that we do. They all work together kind of hand in hand. So often in mentoring sessions, I'll be with a partner, passport holder, and they'll say something like, will you show me how to put the weekly trading zones on my chart? I think I'm ready for that now. And it might be someone who's been with us 6 months, 9 months, a year, and I'll go, oh, you haven't been using the weekly trading zones? And they'll go, no, it just seemed like too much. I'm just trying to learn the methodology. I'm trying to learn the indicators. But once we put them on the chart and I explain how they work, and I always get the same response. Oh, really? I thought it was complicated. Oh, I wish I'd have known this 6 months ago or whatever. So if that fits anyone here, I'm going to show you just quickly, and then I'm going to answer any questions if you have any. All you got to do is put them in the chat box. But I'll back up to Sunday was the, better get on the right page. Sunday was the 14th? 16th, how about that? Sunday was the 16th. Okay. So, let me scoot back there. All right, this past Sunday night, Globex Open was right here. Right here. This was the Globex Open. We didn't have any gaps or anything. Globex Open, 6 p.m. Oh, and I did mention to you guys that I'm going to do a webinar Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern. Don't know if Val has put the link to that webinar in the chat box yet, but if you can, Val, if you have that ready, we'll be sending out an email invitation later, but you know how email is. So if you want to snag the link here, then I'll look forward to seeing you Sunday afternoon. So we opened up right into a weekly trading zone, 2894/95. Now, the zone below, that is a this week zone, but we haven't touched it during this week, but it's on the chart, so just letting you know what this is. Okay, so we open here, Globex, we make a run at the zone overhead, we get turned back where we find good support, another run, come back, good support, another run, same story, and then right here, this little candle speaks volumes. This little doji here, okay? It doesn't tell us the market's about to make a huge move higher, but it's setting the stage, setting the table, if you will. And I won't go into the explanation behind a doji. Oh, here's what you can do. Google CFRN, The Secret Life of Candles, and that will give you some very basic information on candlespeak and what and this isn't something new. This has been around 400 years. Japanese rice traders invented candlestick trading. And so the signals and patterns that all a candlestick is a graphic representation of investor or trader sentiment during the time frame that you're observing, and this time frame is 30 minutes. Okay, so this would really get my attention here. Okay, And then look at the next candle. Okay. Would I enter on the open of this candle? No, because we're below the weekly trading zone. When we approach a weekly trading zone from above, we expect it to be good support, just like it was here, and here, and here, and even here. Okay. Now, price is always trying to get to a zone, either the zone overhead or the zone below. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to look at the chart and, using the other tools that we have, the indicators, figure out okay, well, which zone is price trying to get to? Is it trying to get to the one overhead, or is it trying to get to the one below? In this case right here, this big green candle tells us that, well, it's definitely trying to get to the zone overhead. And if we look left, we can see where it stalled out. The last time it got to this price, it stalled out, took us back to the zone. Now we start going sideways here, printing these small candles. And there was a Concierge Trade Alert sitting right there at 2907. Now, the Concierge Trade Alerts are a static report that are taking into consideration the entire upcoming session, and it defines a point on the chart where if price gets here, we want to think about being long. And if price gets here, we want to think about being short. So that's a static report. The Logic 247 is a dynamic, real-time, as opportunity happens, we bring it to your attention. Now, when you have the static number, and then as price structure develops, as the session moves forward, when a CTA and a Logic 247 come together in the same area, same neighborhood, because I might know when I issue that static report that we definitely want to be long and look for long opportunities above 2907. Well, it could be that after all these hours pass, okay, and price gets right here, I'm going to be looking in the moment, okay, where is the best opportunity? I already know that I want to be long. Where's the best opportunity to get long based upon our understanding of the markets? So it could be that the Logic 247 shows me the best entries here, or it might show it here. But you tie that in with this and with this, like on this CTA, long 2907, overhead we have a weekly trading zone at 2914. Just as we expect price to find good support when it approaches a zone from above, when it approaches from below, we expect it to be good resistance. And you can see what happened. We hit the zone, it consolidated. One of three things happens at a zone: consolidation, rejection, and the slice. Only three things. In a business where there are an infinitesimal number of things that can happen and do happen, to have anything where only three things can happen, hopefully that grabs your attention. Okay, so as we take out this, I've got a pretty good idea that, price is trying to get to the zone overhead because it just left this zone. I mean, it's been there for a while. This tells me it's ready to get up and go. So I need to be long if I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. And I also know that a suitable target overhead is going to be 2914. So from the CTA entry to the zone, a nice 7-point move. You didn't have to break a sweat or bust a move or any of that stuff. It's there. That's how markets work. When you have to fight and wrestle and squirm, it's probably not a great opportunity. Now, for some, right, this right here, this sideways for 90 minutes, these are 30-minute candles, that might have caused someone anguish, but you have to learn to not let it cause you anguish. See, we understand, most of us, that markets channel back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all day long. If price is rising, it channels back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If price is falling, it channels back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But something in our rat brain, the second we get long or short in the market, any market, there's something on some basic level says, okay, this is the beginning of the next trend. And we expect price to just take off like a rocket, like this candle, or like this candle. And the market doesn't always give us that kind of instant gratification. Just as we consolidated here at this important price, important area, 2907, when we got to the zone, important price, important area, look what we did. I mean, we ran up and then we stopped, screeched to a halt, sideways. Okay? So as this is consolidating, perhaps from the 2907 to 2914, you've taken profit, okay, 7 points, great day. Might want to put the mouse away. But for the purpose of explaining this, 90 minutes of consolidation. I'm asking myself, okay, what's price going to do? Is it going to try to go to the zone overhead at 43.44? Or is it going to go back down to that zone at 94.95? I don't have to get too much of a green candle here before I can see that the market is trying to get to the zone overhead. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to get there. It doesn't mean it's going to get there in the first attempt. But it is certainly showing us, I mean, this, let's see, at 29.15 up to at 29.18, that's 3 points above the zone. You got this green candle here. All you got to do is ask yourself, okay, does it look like it's trying to get to 43.44 or 94.95? Well, if it was trying to get to 94.95, you'd have a red candle down here instead of a green candle up here. It really is that simple, okay? Now, do we get to the zone overhead? No, we don't make it on this move. We did print an exit signal, and I won't go into that right now because I just want to kind of get this point across on the zones. So we know that price is trying to get to the zone overhead. It doesn't quite make it in this move. We get a pullback, and we start to, grind sideways. And look at the time. Okay, it's the beginning of the Globex session. Now, this move from this zone, 95 up to 14, that's a 19-point move from zone to zone. Remember, you didn't have to wait for this CTA to kick in order to be long. If you saw this consolidation and you recognize that this green candle represents that price is trying to go to the zone overhead, I mean, you could have been long anywhere in this area. Once you understand, how this all works. Okay, we go sideways, we go sideways, we go sideways. Price comes back. Now we're up to the 19th, Fed day. Is that right? 16, yeah, Fed day, Wednesday. All right, so price, what does it do? The Fed announcement comes out. Price spikes down to 29.15 and a quarter. So we missed touching the zone by just a tick, one tick. We create this doji here, belt hold, it can be called. As this green candle starts to print, or even this candle, we're more than halfway to the zone overhead. So I'm pretty certain that price is trying to get to the zone overhead, not the one below. Now, here's a little something that'll help. There. Whenever price is above this green line, we call it the BBC. All that means is bull-bear cross. When price crosses above this green line, BBC, we anticipate higher prices. And when price is below, we anticipate lower prices. Real simple. I mean, you'll get that right away. Okay. And then a Logic 247 alert comes out, a 5-point alert. Consider being long 29.37 to 29.42. This candle right here, the swing high was 36.75. So this did not trigger till this candle right here. Now, why 42? Well, I've got a zone overhead. And if price approaches the zone from below, what do we anticipate? What do we expect? We expect it to be good resistance until it isn't. So there's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, really 5 hours. 10 30-minute candles. And then price pokes its head above the CFMA 1. And it becomes pretty obvious to those who have worked with this and studied it that price is trying to get to the zone overhead. Now from this zone, from 15 to 43, I think that's 18 points, or no, 28 points, pardon me. As we get to this zone and consolidate, okay, we're just waiting for the market to show us what it wants to do next. What's the high probability thing? Well, as long as price stays above the green line, the high probability thing is higher prices, which means the zone overhead. In this, coming out of this consolidation pattern right here, in order for me to start looking at a move to the zone below, price would first have to get below the BBC, the green line, for me to change my narrative. Now, price could be up here consolidating, and then it could drop down to the BBC, and I would anticipate a bounce from there, but I have to be careful because let's say it pulls back here at 29.38. Okay, how much room do I have to run before I get back to this area where I expect good resistance? Well, from 37, you got 5 points to 42. And why 42? Why not 43? Because zones are an area. Just like down here, we came within one tick on the Fed announcement of touching that zone, one tick. But if you were in a trade for whatever reason and you had 29.15 as your target, you didn't get filled. It didn't trigger. You could be sitting here watching this thing just run back and you're like, what happened? I was one tick away from glory land. Well, okay, so that's why 42, not 43. Okay, consolidation, poke above the CFMA 1. Down here, my cycle, it's blue. It's above the 50-yard line. Everything I have, everything in our arsenal, our kit bag, our toolbox is pointing north. So we just got to climb aboard. Okay, there was a Logic 247, consider long at 29.52. The static report earlier, hours before, had said 29.57. Okay, so an area. And from 52 to 64, that's a 12-point rally. Okay. Now, as price approaches this weekly zone, what do we expect to find when we get there? Good resistance. And that's what we got. It sent price back down to the zone below. Now, this candle right here, when this candle opens, I can clearly see that price is now, it just went from zone to zone. I can clearly see that it's trying to get to the zone below. But there's an obstacle in my path. That obstacle is the green line we were just talking about, the BBC. Because as price approaches the BBC from above, just like with the weekly zone, I expect that to be good support until it isn't. In other words, a bounce back up. Now, I'm not going to take any action here as we pull back. I'm going to wait and see. Do we start printing a green candle? If so, then I want to be long so I can get back up to the zone with the market. But look what it does. We get to the BBC, doesn't hold this time. We print a red candle below it, so the open of this candle is 49.75. The zone below is 44. Okay, from 49.75 down to 44. Is there enough room there for me to get my goal for the day? Absolutely. So even though on this candle, I recognize what the market's trying to do, get to the zone below, I also recognize that this could be good support and send the market back up. So I wait until this candle prints, enter on the open of this candle, and look to take profit at the zone where we expect it to be good support. Okay. Now, price starts to move up off the zone. Green candle. Okay, that rascal is going to, 12 up, from 44 to 64. That's actually a 20-point. Let's change this. It should say 20. It's a 20-point rally zone to zone. Okay. We print a green candle. We got this long wick. And again, study those candlestick signals. You'll understand why this is important, especially the way it sticks out. The body of the candle rests right on that zone. Green candle, okay, I know this jam. Price is now trying to go back up to the zone overhead again. But there's an obstacle in my path. Same thing, BBC. Because as we approach it from below, we expect it to be good resistance until it isn't. And it was for 30, 60 minutes. It was on this candle where we closed above. And then we start printing this candle. Is it any wonder that we had a logic 247 alert to consider being along at 29.56? Because it's an 8-point ride up to that zone at 64. So these last couple of moves, did it clearly show you a way to get the full 20 points? No. You'd have to disregard the indicators and just go with the zones. Has there ever been a trader that did such a thing, that just traded zone to zone? Yeah. What I'm trying to do is put in front of you something that's simple to understand. I want you to be able to read this chart like a newspaper. Price can only do a couple things. If it's trying to get higher, it's going to go higher if it can overcome whatever obstacles are in its path. In this case right here, from I will say the open of this candle, which was 54.75, call it 55. Say from 55 to 64, 9 points. I got no obstacles in my way. Clear sailing. Did it get all the way to the zone? Nope. It got to 63 and a quarter. So again, that's why I'll put targets 1 point usually before the zone, just for that very reason right there. Imagine you're in this trade, you got in here at 55, 56, and you just know it's going to 64, because remember, this was a big, huge green candle, right? Before it wasn't. You got, you could smell victory. And then you couldn't, right? So always be aware, zones are an area, okay? All right, moving on. Now, this got ugly today. And this is what I was talking about for those of you that were in the live training room this morning. When I talked about the serpentine way that that price was just rolling sideways in the S&P. You see, price was above the BBC, and then it was below, and then it was above, and then it was below, and then it was above. Finally, on this move, it actually got it together and made the run back to the zone. This right here it's not conducive to trading, okay? Now, you don't know that really until this failure right here. But it's right about there you go. This stinks. Okay, fair enough. Below the BBC here, okay? So getting short at the open of this candle, 53.50, how far did we go? Got down to 47.75. Is that room to get a goal for the day? Yeah. And from the open of this candle, 55.50 to 60, you betcha, and almost 5 points. See how this works? It's not complicated. It's logical. It's logical. Think about that. It makes sense. How many times have you looked at some kind of methodology, some way of trading the markets? Maybe it's got a lot of indicators or oscillators or whatever it has, and it's like, okay, I was told to do this and this when this says this, or this points to that. But it never really made any sense. It's really hard to get your arms around something like that. And it puts you in a position where you're always looking for something that makes sense. Okay? You spend a little bit of time with us, this will make sense. It will become not something you're looking at, it will become how you think. And the logic behind it will become apparent. You wake up, you read the chart just like you read the newspaper. You assess where price is trying to go. Doesn't mean it's going to get there, but you have a clear understanding of where price is trying to go. Now, you simply got to find your entry, participate, go with the market until it reaches your target, reaches a zone, or stops going in that direction. You want to get out. Okay? That sounds oversimplified. It sounds so elementary, but really it is simple, and I'm not ashamed of that. It's simple by design. It took a lot of years for Michael and I to get all the noise off the charts so that we could see this underlying rhythm of the market and address it, because that's where the money is. That's where success as a trader lies. When you understand what the market is doing and you simply participate. You don't fight it. You don't argue with it. You don't say things like, well, this, I know the state of the economy. This thing can't go any higher. Famous last words. Or this has to be the bottom. I'm going to go long here. Why? Why not wait for the chart to show you it's the bottom and start climbing, then take action? Again, that sounds really simple. It is, but it takes self-discipline to utilize these very basic concepts. Okay, to John, that's it. I'm done preaching on the weekly trading zones. I've preached on it 3 times this week, I think, if not more. If you want more information, if you want to better understand it, book a mentoring session. See Valerie, she'll point you in the right direction. And I'll be happy to spend a little time with you in a one-on-one go-to meeting. And we'll use the microphones so you don't have to type all your questions in. Here, it's difficult to be opening up all the different mics and whatnot. That's why we use the chat box and in the training room in the morning. If we opened up everybody's mic at the same time, you'd hear kids screaming and dogs barking. Oh, wait, that's my house. But it would be noisy. Okay, but when it's just you and I in that go-to meeting, you'll hear my dogs and you'll hear my kids, but we'll be able to talk to each other like real people. Okay. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Joan. I noticed that after I'd been talking for a while, I noticed that I hadn't opened the mic over on YouTube. But thank you. Appreciate you putting that in. All right, let me find out what's going on with John. Is he going to be here today or not? I usually call him before the show. I didn't have a chance today. Let me jingle his phone real quick and find out. And we'll just keep moving if he's not going to be here, but I think he will.
Hello.
Hey, John, you coming on today?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Okay. All right, back to this. Let me. I don't want anyone to ever think that we just show you the good stuff. Okay? We don't shy away from the bad and the ugly. We like good as much as anyone else. But in trading, there's good, bad, and ugly. Okay? So let me pull up the Concierge Trade Alerts from last night. And I'll show you just such a boo-boo. Truth about trading. Last night, Concierge Trade Alerts got out at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Said to consider being long at or above 2968 on the S&P. Swing high, 2969 and a quarter, which resulted in, I would assume, a stop out because the market drew all the way down. After that, the swing low is 55.50. So, certainly hope you had a reasonable stop. In fact, once price pulls back below this weekly trading zone, the market actually gave you a gift in that it spent a little time hanging out here. It gave you a chance to take an exit if that's what you wanted to do, because you got triggered long here at 68, and then price has the nerve to go back below the weekly. Once it goes back below the zone, well, it's going to try to go to the zone below. It's going to find an obstacle in its path right here. Same thing I talked about over here and over here. If you were trying to, let's say you weren't even in this long trade that got stopped out, but let's say you initiated a short position right here because you're like, oh, a big red candle, price is trying to go to the zone below. You're right, but there's an obstacle in its path, and that obstacle has kept the market frozen in time for 30, 60, 90 minutes. See how that works? Doesn't mean that we know what's going to happen next, but we understand how markets work. We can teach you how markets work. And then you're not sitting there confused and mystified. I don't know why. Big red candle. It really looked like price is going to try to go to the zone below. I don't understand why it's going sideways like this for 90 minutes. Well, we do. It's not a mystery. We expect this to be good support till it isn't. Now, you give me a red close below this BBC, and even more so below that swing low. Even if you waited to clear this swing low, what's this low? 47.75? 46 to 44. Goal for the day. Not much risk there. Okay. All right. So I just don't point out the home runs. We don't look for home runs. We don't think that way. And if you can learn to not think that way, not to think in terms of you're going to try to beat the market, because the market has been around a long time, very deep pockets. Chances of you or I beating the market on a regular, consistent basis is pretty slim. The other approach is to invite the market to be your business partner. Now, instead of working against each other, you're working in tandem. You're working together. Hey, I love the market. It's my business partner. All I got to do, he's big, he's got deep pockets. All I got to do is figure out which way he's headed, and I'm just going to grab onto his coattails and go with him. At least far enough to get my goal for the day, and then I may duck back into safety, where there's no risk. All the analysis in the world does not get rid of the risk. We think it does, but it doesn't. We have to be okay with the risk. We have to understand that risk equals opportunity. Now, it's very important that you manage the risk well, and that's what we teach in the live training room every day, is aggressive risk management. So important. All right, let me see if John's here. He's not. You sound like you might not be feeling well. He probably pulled an all-nighter with gold up in the stratosphere. Let's look at gold. There's gold. Hugging the highest weekly trading zone, 1400/1401. And it's been attached to this zone now for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 30-minute candles. 7.5 hours. Now, our partners and passport holders would not be, I don't think, some might, but new. There's no trade here. There's no opportunity here. We look for high probability opportunities only. If I post something in Logic 247, that's what I consider to be a high probability opportunity. I see lots of opportunities that are more like kind of taking a shot. And that's not what you want. That's not what you need. What you need is a steady stream of pre-vetted high probability opportunities that you can work until you reach your goal for the day. Traders, consistently profitable traders, spend 80% of their time looking for the next trade setup. 80% is a lot. It's 4 days out of a 5-day week. And that's what Logic 247 does for traders. Provides them with a steady stream of opportunity. No more looking, just trade. Now, I encourage all of our traders, when something comes through Logic, or even if it's a Concierge Trade Alert, I don't want you to just blindly go put it on. You can, I know some people do, but it's not what I want. I want you to go look at the chart. I want you to look at your chart. Okay, all right, my thing just went off. Dude put out an alert. Let me look at my chart. If you don't see the opportunity, don't take the trade. Journal it, make notes, snap a picture, so the next time you and I get together, whether it's in a mentoring session or a workshop or wherever, in the live training room even, you can go, hey, you put out this alert. I looked at my chart. I couldn't see the opportunity. I didn't take it. Would you help me to see what you saw? I'll be so happy to. Have you ever had that before? Has anybody ever done that for you before? I don't know. I know that when I first started trading Emini Futures, I recognized pretty early on that I needed somebody to teach me something. And I put out feelers, man. I offered a pretty sizable piece of change for somebody to just, let me follow them around, sharpen their pencils, make the coffee, and learn the art or science of trading. And anyone who was consistently profitable did not have time for that foolishness, right? So, spend a lot of time and treasure trying to figure it out. The good news is you don't have to. How much time and treasure have you already spent? And more importantly, how much do you have left? John, welcome to the show. John?
I'm here. I'm just coming on. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So glad to have you with us.
There was an interview with Mr. Holier than Thou, James Comey.
Oh, really?
Just finished.
Yeah. What was the gist of it?
From Salzburg. Well, he couldn't see any evidence of any bias at the FBI and all that sort of nonsense.
Oh, my goodness.
And listen, if we've got the time, maybe this would be a good time, maybe when we just wrap up, do a quick wrap on the markets. I'm a bit late today. But the interview's from Salzburg, Austria, and it's on Bloomberg with one of those holier-than-thou Bloomberg guys doing the interview. So,
how do I bring it up? Salzburg?
Well, no, it's a long interview, but what I was listen. If you really want to know what I was going to say is at the end of the session today with you and me, maybe if we've got time, or if you want to, if the audience has 8 minutes to listen to possibly the best 8 minutes analysis of what I said a long time ago, the rottenness to the core of the whole Russian hoax and the Mueller report and everything else. it was pretty much summed up if you were watching Fox Business last night with Lou Dobbs. You know, Joe de Geneva and his wife are two of the, you know, probably the most honest prosecutors out there, the best of the best. And they've seen through the whole thing. And Byron York, who's another guy who's got his arms around it all. It's a pretty interesting 8 minutes. It really sums up the whole thing. You know, though, it's just unbelievable. You see these people being interviewed. In fact, this guy from Baltimore, I think, some fellow who's running for president, he's tries to make out he's a businessman. I mean, he is a successful businessman. But he's, you know, I happened to hear him doing an interview with that fellow from the Wall Street Journal, the English guy who comes on after Maria Wall Street Week. And his father says, you know, 17 agencies all said that the Russian hacked the DNC. I'm telling you, you know, somehow, I don't know whether why they're holding back the real truth, but it's probably going to come out one of these days. I mean, obviously, if the next big shoe to drop, if you like, is if you know, they come out with absolutely concrete evidence that Russia never hacked the DNC, and it was an inside job, and it was, you know, it could have been this Seth Rich guy or somebody else. I told you what happened to me on Twitter. You know, as soon as I typed in his name, they shut me down. I mean, it's just unbelievable. This is a very hot deal. Somebody knows something. And now this guy, Binny, you remember Binny from the FBI? Sorry, from the CIA. He's a whistleblower. I mean, there's a tweet that came out yesterday. I don't have it in front of me right now, but he's saying there's concrete evidence that he has concrete evidence that the Russians never hacked the DNC. And in a way, the 8 minute commentary from de Geneva pretty much says the same thing. And it wasn't 17 agencies. Ultimately, it was only 2, the CIA and the FBI. And obviously they were in on the deal. So now, you know, we're getting closer to the truth. And maybe it's the declassification that's coming from Trump that's going to expose all this. But the biggest, I mean, you know, Trump said, I mean, he probably knows for sure that it wasn't the Russians. He said, and he's been made a fool of because everybody thinks he's in with Putin, you know, and this whole Helsinki thing. But that's, you know, if Trump is proven 100% correct and the Russians didn't do it, I mean, that's going to blow the lid off this whole thing. It's just going to be, you know, unfortunately, the public's been brainwashed into believing the Russians did hack the DNC. So it's, you know, but in the same way as I mean, it's interesting. A week ago, there was impeach. Have you noticed the word hasn't been, the only word, they just asked Comey, should Trump be impeached? And he said he hopes not. Well, you know, he's probably, no why he said that. He just said he thinks that if Trump's impeached, the base could rise up and there might be a civil war or something like that. But you know, it's funny that that's completely died down. And you know, a couple of weeks before that, or a month before that, it was getting Mueller to testify. Why do you think he came on and says, I'm not saying anything more about this report? Because he'd be shredded. If he went in to testify, the Republicans are going to take him apart. So he's not stupid, you know. He doesn't want to testify because he knows he's going to get ripped to shreds if he goes in and testifies. So it's not a one-way street, and the Dems are going to be exposed. So we haven't heard any of that. You know, that's gone very silent recently. So, you know, this whole thing is, in fact, somebody made a statement that when the real history is written, you know, this thing is going to look like a very ugly stain on the U.S. What happened in the last 3 years. So
it really is. And you know, people are so short-sighted. They have their own agendas. And you know, what about America? What about our country? What about our integrity? What about our heritage? All of these things are being thrown away for, I don't know, personal gain, power.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the other thing, the other stink horse is, you know, what Papadopoulos is, I actually heard Trump mention Papadopoulos' name for virtually the first time ever a few days ago, because I think he's actually starting to respect Papadopoulos a lot more. I think before he kind of wrote him off as just a kind of a, hanger on, but
right.
He's starting to realize that Papadopoulos was a pretty good guy, and he didn't sort of, he was obviously shafted by Mueller and set up, and he didn't deserve to get any jail time or anything like that. And now Papadopoulos is exposing all this stuff, that Italy was in cahoots, the Brits, the Australians, and Canadians, probably, who knows who else were in on the whole thing. And the outsourcing and all these horrible shady characters, like, God almighty. I mean, to think that there's people on the payroll, slime balls, slumming around in Cambridge, England, getting paid $1 million for sitting on their backside, it's just immoral. And then you've got all these liberal ex-CIA guys on CNN. I mean, they're making me want to throw up, these fellows. You sort of think, God, were these people really, in intelligence for a country? It's just horrifying. And then that Steele guy in England, cheapers. It's just unbelievable.
Well, I mean, who's going to ultimately bear responsibility for this whole dossier thing and the FISA court? And is anybody going to pay the price? I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, maybe they are. And, maybe Comey, it turns out that McCabe is a bit of an evil kind of a guy. He's turning out to be, apparently, they're putting the blame on Rosenstein, because he was scared of McCabe, and he didn't want, he was scared to sort of expose it, and they were so far into it, he kind of got lulled into putting on the creating the Mueller thing. So and obviously when Comey got fired, I guess McCabe was livid, and because he was maybe he was a big part of the whole thing. So he may be the one who's going to go down for this in a big way, and possibly even Rosenstein too. There's about 8 of them, so there's 8 criminal referrals going on.
Why do you think Trump pulled the plug last night?
Well, Trump's a human being, and when he was told that it might kill 150 people, maybe he thought it was a bit of an over. How do you say?
Well, there was talk that they were trying to coordinate this thing to happen at dawn, so it would minimize not only civilian casualties but also military casualties. Because if the targets were like some radar stations or places where at that time of day, hopefully there would be as few people there as possible. So, I mean, of course, we always try to mitigate or try to prevent civilian casualties. But when I heard that he was also thinking about, the soldiers, the boots on the ground there, just doing what their leaders tell them to do. He was thinking about them. I was surprised that it got pulled, and we don't know if he just, unless there's some new news out that I haven't heard, we don't know if he just changed his mind, or maybe some logistical thing came up.
Could it? Well, saying this sort of a rogue operator, and this whole Russian thing where they shot down the Malaysian Airlines thing. They charged the people. They were able to track down people who literally were sitting on the rocket launcher who fired. They got all the individuals, so they did a lot of meticulous work, and they got charged this week for that. And who knows if they were a rogue outfit or who gave the order. They thought it was they probably thought it was a military aircraft, not a passenger aircraft. So it was an extremely unfortunate situation. And who knows what happened with this incident as well. It doesn't add up because, whether after it happened, they decided to be belligerent about it and make further threats and all that, because after it was done, they couldn't really say it was a mistake or something like that, but it could have been. And there's a lot of spies in Iran that report back to Israel, believe it or not, and who knows, they might have heard something back to say that this was kind of a rogue deal. Some guy, who was out to make his name or something like that. It's kind of like these Chinese generals. There's been a few of them talking about taking out aircraft carriers and things like that. So he may have a point, but look, maybe he's let him off the hook this time, one last time, and if they do it again, then they're going to hit him a lot harder. And
all these journalists were just waiting to write the article this morning about how bloodthirsty, warmongering Trump, did whatever he did, and when that was snatched from them because he said stand down, they switched the articles real quick to Iran did all this bad stuff and Trump backed down. I mean, they're so quick to turn on a dime. Unbelievable.
You can't win, and I mean, it's honest to God, it's like an industry out there with all these little worker bees, figuring out how to relate the narrative every day, or it's sickening, to tell you the truth. It really is.
And when he tried to do what was in the best interest of the company with the wall, I forget which particular instance it was, but the next day the articles were calling him caveman because it was a standoff between him and Pelosi, and they were calling Trump caveman because he caved in. No, he didn't cave in.
Oh, you mean there were a bit of a mocking on that Google ad, on that Geico ad?
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, and plus because he caved in and he said, okay, I said I was going to do this, but it's not in the best interest of the country, so I'm not going to do it. Instead of going, wow, that was a great thing the president did. He caved in. Pelosi, wiped the floor with him. Oh, my goodness. Please, my head hurts.
You mean because he caved or what?
Yeah, because he caved.
But yesterday she was saying don't do it.
It's
Did you hear
ridiculous. That? The whole thing is just, it's a circus.
Pelosi yesterday, Trump's going to get us in a war, and these things, can be accidental. Somebody's going to do something stupid. Oh, Jesus Christ.
And speaking of a circus, there's this TV show. I've never watched it, but they call the president, a clown or something. It's like a cartoon. I think it's on HBO. Somebody in the audience.
Never seen it.
But you know what I'm talking about. Now, try doing that in Russia. Try doing that in China. Try doing that in Iran. I mean, you don't.
How about Korea? North Korea.
Even the Bible tells us that we're supposed to respect whoever's in leadership over us, whether we like them, don't like them, agree with them, don't agree with them. That people in power, they're set there by the hand of God, and that we should respect them, respect the office. Even if you don't respect the man, respect the office. That's lost on this country right now.
Yeah.
And when people start to see those kind of chinks in our armor, boy, they're going to come at us hard. Now, I was talking this morning. I heard a thing on the radio this morning. The Alexa device, which I know people have a lot of mixed emotions about because it's always listening. Although you can mute it so that it's not listening. You just press a button. But think back to the Cold War and throughout history. People put their life on the line to get into a building or a house or an office to plant a listening device, right? Now look how this thing's completely turned around. This Jeff Bezos has convinced everybody you don't have to break into a guy's house people go out and buy the listening device and put it in their own house because it's presented in such an attractive way. And I'm pro-Alexa. I'm not against it. I don't say anything. I don't care if she hears what I say because I don't say anything that I'm not supposed to say, I guess. I know other people have privacy issues, but what got me thinking about this morning, I heard on the news that in the very near future, and it's probably already possible, but they haven't rolled it out yet. In the very near future, Alexa will be able to tell you if you're about to have a heart attack.
Wow.
And you know how she does it? She listens to your breathing. She can detect a change in the pattern of your breathing that correlates with somebody who's about to have a heart attack. Now, the Apple Watch can already do that, and I understand how that works, but the thought that she is not only listening, but she's listening so intently, she can detect a change in your breathing pattern. That's a little bit, even though I'm pro Alexa, that's a little bit scary. But then I got to thinking about the bigger picture. How do we know the government's not behind Amazon and Jeff Bezos? I mean, his rise to power was so quick, so rapid. I mean, he worked hard. I followed the company along. I understand what went into it. And I'm not saying he's a government agent, but I'm not saying that there isn't some kind of government. If the government wanted to get a listening device into every home in America, do they do it by force, or do they make it seem very attractive to have this listening device in your home? And they're recording everything. Everything that Alexa hears is recorded. Where is it stored? On Amazon servers. Who has access? I don't think any of us really know the answer to that. Now, they say you can go on and you can erase everything she's ever recorded in your home, like they don't back up their database periodically. So I don't know. I mean, I have a thing on Alexa, the Emini Daily Report. So I mean, I'm pro Alexa, but some of this stuff is really starting to concern me a bit. So maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know. So John,
well,
go ahead. Let's look at gold here.
The gold today, right now, is at 1,400, and it's kind of interesting because it's been holding in here pretty firmly.
These are 30-minute candles. Look how long it's been stuck on this highest weekly trading zone, 1,400/1401.
Yeah.
About 7
yeah.
hours.
It actually looks like it could take a pullback if it's, because it kind of looked like we overdid it a bit last night when we ran up to 1416. But, we're closing obviously at a fantastic level this week, assuming we don't break down this afternoon. And I would say we're probably going to have another test of that 14. I think, as you remember, I think 1425 to 1440 is where I think we're probably going. Now, will we have a dip back to 1375 before then? Normally you do. A lot of times, there's a lot of times the 13 and, the 75 is a very important testing ground, if you like, and very often tests before it goes back up through a big number. But right now the market's so strong, it doesn't seem to be doing that. And the silver is a little bit weaker, and we were going gangbusters a couple of hours ago. Palladium was over 1,500. It started to come back. The platinum is firmer. It's a little bit still up above our 800 entry point. In fact, it came back and gave you another chance to buy at 800 this morning and went back up. And I actually think the platinum's turning dynamically bullish here. We're not quite there yet, but we get about 812. I think we might have a big run up to about 850, and I think a run to 850 would equal gold going to 1425 to 1440, something like that. So watch platinum very carefully between now and Sunday night for potential breakouts and a bit of a run, and possibly a pretty big run upwards towards 850 on the plat.
This daily candle on silver right here. This daily candle.
And by the way, if we get up to 850 on the plat, the lows are probably in, and I think we're going to go higher beyond that. Remember I said, if you actually look at platinum today, you'll see that, and if you compare it with soybeans a few weeks ago when we were down at the 800 level on the beans, we ran up and we tested. We had a kind of a breakout move, and we ran up to, I don't know, 840 or something like that on the beans. And then we came back down and tested, and then we took off big time after that. And this feels to me like a fairly similar sort of situation developing with the platinum. And platinum could really come from behind, and so could copper. Actually, you'll see what I mean when you look at the daily chart. The 820, actually 822, getting above that is potential takeoff time, and actually could have a very fast run right up to 900 and maybe even up to 1,000 from here on the plat. You'll see we're kind of making a positive doji today on the daily, assuming we don't change much between here and the close.
Which market are you talking about?
Sorry, on the platinum.
Oh, you're back to the platinum. Okay, because I was just bringing up the beans.
Sorry, you're looking at the beans. Platinum's it's different from the beans, but see what I mean. We see how we ran up from 800 to 860,
sure.
858, and then came down to 820. When we came down to 820, before you knew what was coming next, it looked a little bit iffy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not as the platinum is much more of a basing thing because we've been basing for the whole month of June. But yeah, I think a breakout above 820 is going to be significant for the platinum right now. And again, on the silver, getting back above the 15, 58, 60 area is going to be a big deal. Palladium getting back over 1500 is going to be a big deal. And copper getting above about 275 is going to be probably a continuation of this whole uptrend in the metals. And you never know with the gold, because they could be setting it up for a takedown on Sunday night in the metals into Monday. But obviously how we behave on Monday and Tuesday next week are really, really important for the gold, especially if we're having a strong Tuesday in the metals. I think that implies that we could have a very, very strong month for gold going into the end of the month. And obviously this is going to be one of the biggest months in a long, long time for gold. So and if you look at the chart on gold, it looks just unbelievably bullish, frankly. And the same with palladium, just looks just outrageously bullish. And the silver, as we were looking at it yesterday, the silver looks dynamically bullish because it could really, really rocket.
Does this daily candle right here concern you at all, John? Yeah. Does this daily candle bother you?
No, not particularly. Okay. No. That silver, that really looks ultra dynamically bullish right now, and I haven't used that word for a long, long time. Ultra dynamically bullish. Whenever I use dynamically bullish, I'm usually there's usually a very, very dramatic move, and I'd say the metals are dynamically bullish right now, pretty much in the way they're shaping up. So. The Russell, for some reason, has taken a big dip here.
Yeah, it was leading to the downside this morning, and I was waiting to see if the other indices were going to follow. This is a 15-point drop in 30 minutes.
Yeah, we're making got to be a little bit careful here because we're making a kind of a failure swing type. We just went to a new high, but it wasn't confirmed by the NASDAQ. That's not a good sign when that happens. I think the Dow is pretty close to an all-time high here, but so when the S&P and the Dow are making highs, but the NASDAQ isn't, and the Russell is negative, it's not particularly. It usually means we're going to have it's a kind of a negative divergence, and we're going to have some sort of a pullback. By the way, the European markets, for some reason, looking like death today, not looking good at all. So that's another reason to be a little bit concerned. It's becoming more like the higher the metals go, which is probably more likely now. The market gets a little bit spooked when the metals get too strong, so that could be part of the equation as well. But if you look at the gold, we came from 1,200, we ran up to 1,350. Remember the numbers? We actually went through these numbers not so long ago, and then we went from. So if you had 150 to 1,275, where does that take us to?
Which market are you on, John?
On gold, sorry.
Back on gold, okay.
Yeah, we went from about, let's say, we went from about 1160 to 1350. So about $200 almost, right?
Right.
So we had an almost $200 move off the low. We had a very mild pullback, if you remember. That's what we remarked on. It was a 30%er. And so from 1275, 1575 looks like that we're probably going to go all the way to 1575 on this run.
Very well could. Very well could.
Yep. So we're creeping up on Santa Fe, just a little bit below 10 right now. We're up about 11% earlier on today, and I think that they're making excellent progress, and I think that perhaps next week might see some upside on this issue. So
sure love to see it. Head into the weekend over a dime.
It should be a good weekend. We got the Grand Prix this weekend, the French Grand Prix, and the American women's team is just unbelievable. The 2 goals they scored against Sweden yesterday were just awesome. These girls are just totally in control on the field, and they haven't let. I'm not sure if they've let any goals in at all. They scored in the knockout round, what they call the knockout round. Mm-hmm. They hit a record yesterday. They scored more goals in the knockout round than any other time in history, in the history of World Cup. I think it was 18 goals. I think 17 or 18 goals. So they're through, and they've got to play Spain next. Spain, this team, it's not going to be a walkover, and it wasn't a walkover against Sweden either. They had to play hard. But if they beat Spain, then they've got to beat Brazil or somebody else next. So that's they've got a couple of listen. It's not, you can see how they can get through and win it. But they've definitely got the work cut out for them, and it's going to be. I'm actually thinking it might be a USA English final. The British girls team are pretty good. And so a USA England final would be quite an event, I think. Looks like Boris Johnson is a leading contender to become the UK the next prime minister. By the way, the other thing that's going on today, which is really remarkable and is right on the heels of our mega announcement a few weeks ago, is the US dollar is breaking down big time, which is another reason why the metals and gold are doing so well today. And finally, the British pound, as you remember, I said as the leader becomes clearer, maybe the pound will get the confidence. So the pound is it's like a lightning rod. It's a leading indicator now in these currencies, and the pound has turned clearly upwards from here. I mean, demonstrably. The Swiss franc is another one. The Swiss is actually it's running away here to the upside. It's a very, very bullish situation now. When the Swiss starts going, it usually means there's trouble around the world, because money pours into Switzerland what's probably going on around the world is there's banks in trouble. I'm going to show you something that'll knock your socks off in a minute. And this is a little bit of the state of the world. That's, it's kind of like everything's cool. We just made an all-time record high yesterday in the S&P, and you think, oh, great, nothing can go wrong. But, things can go wrong. And, when everything is masked by a seemingly very bright appearance of, all-time record lows and such in unemployment and everything else, and record high employment, it can turn from those sorts of statistics. And fortunately, believe it or not, the Fed probably can see that, and that's why they're really seriously starting to talk about lowering rates. And there are a lot of, we talked about this before, that saw the economy moving one way and the stock market moving the other, and Jesse Livermore chose the stock market and shorted it back in 1929. Turned out to be right. So, because remember, in 1929, there was visions of boundless hope and glory. Just the same as it is at every top. Every top always looks fantastic before trouble starts. Now, hopefully, we're not going to have too much trouble in this economy, but you always have to be careful, and that's why I pointed out just a while ago, when anytime the S&P is making an all-time high and it's not confirmed by the Nasdaq, don't get too carried away with it. It's usually that's what happened on October the 2nd, right? That's why I came out at 2:00 in the afternoon on October the 2nd and said, sell everything. Go short, go long the VIXs, go long gold and silver. I'm not quite at that point just yet, but I'm certainly putting out a bit of a warning about it right here. And the problem is the Fed raised rates too much. We've gone and effectively they raised rates tenfold off the lows. It went from a 0.25 to 2.50, and it's really it's hurting the economy in all kinds of ways. And the dollar was too strong and it was strangling the world growth. And the other thing that's going on is it's kind of like the same thing, the appearance that everything's fine. If I told you that a company doing $500 million a year in revenues, is looking great and everything's fine, and they actually even made money recently, even though the stock got knocked down. Well, they declared bankruptcy 3 days ago, 3 or 4 days ago. What company is that? It's called Legacy Reserves, and it's an oil and gas company in the prime area of the world, producing record amounts of oil, called the Permian Basin, and it was a $30 stock back in the early part of this decade, and it was doing great. It was actually making money, and then when the oil price crashed, they've basically been losing money every year since, except for that one. That when natural gas went up dramatically, and then the oil hit the all-time or the new yearly high a while back, right?
Right.
They got some relief. And they actually made about 40 million. So and they got knocked down from maybe there were still a few dollars a share, and they did rally back up to 7. And in fact, if you just pull up the Yahoo, if you just pull up Yahoo for a second, you'll see something really quite interesting.
Yahoo main page.
Fine, that's it. Just put in legacy right in there. LGCY. Just put that in. No, just LG. Just put the symbol in LGCY. Okay. I'll move it up to where you see the balance sheet on the thing. You can move it up a bit more. Mm-hmm. Okay, see the financials here just coming into view? Mm-hmm. Can you go a bit more?
Over here. This is
okay, for some reason...
Yours is laying out differently? How about this?
Was it the right symbol? Hang on a second. LGCY, right? Legacy Reserves.
Correct. Trading at 1012.
No. I just wanted you to, if you go back to where we were before, to the first page.
Okay.
Okay. Go back to the financials to bring it up down the bottom.
Right here.
The charts. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, for some reason, it's not showing. On my chart, it's showing the losses and the profits, right? Okay, go to quarterly now. Go to quarterly.
I'm not logged into Yahoo. I don't know if that makes any difference as to what data they show you. Now go where?
Just hit the quarterly up there.
Okay.
That's strange. No, there's something wrong. On mine, the quarterly goes like, well, it looks like they lost 90 million or 100 million. So they made it. They made a bit of money. And they were sort of like maybe just getting out of trouble, and then bang, so this last this last downturn in oil did them in, and they're in bankruptcy. And another thing, if you go to this is another way of looking at it. If you go to Morningstar,
the website,
yeah, morningstar.com.
Here we go. Okay.
Okay, if you put in legacy LGCY, see what comes up. I might have to send you this link. There's a special link on this Morningstar where you can see all the history and the losses and everything like that. And it might be Morningstar analysis. I don't know. Try that. Try putting the symbol into that. Where no, it's not coming up. No, there's a way where you can see the whole thing. It gives you 10 years of history, and it's very interesting to watch how the stock went up and then it went down and how it got into trouble. But you know, it's crazy because they're still actually doing incredible revenues, but they're losing just unbelievable amounts of money right now. And if you look at the price of natural gas today, you know,
do you have this premium membership, John? Maybe that's why you're seeing it and I'm not.
Yeah, probably, possibly that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Natural gas. I'll send you the link later on, and
okay.
maybe you can search it. But check out the price of natural gas because that's tanked big time in the last couple of days.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to a site I'm familiar with. Do you want to just pull up a chart of natural gas? Okay.
Yeah, natural gas. Yeah.
Sure.
So what I'm saying about legacy is, you know, even though we are the U.S. is #1 in the world, look at that chart, jeepers.
Wow, it's daily.
Yeah, and if you remember what I said, right after Memorial Day, get out of oil or go short, and it's gone down an awful lot since then. So, you know, the dollar is probably going to be oil's savior, and that's probably, you know, between Iran and the dollar right now, oil is actually up, even though natural gas can't. I mean, natural gas is getting down to levels of several years ago where we were in real big trouble. So I think this is new 52-week lows here on natural gas. Can you pull up the U.S. dollar, Dwayne?
I sure can.
Yeah. Actually, just for the benefit, why don't you if you could just pull up the full story on natural gas, because remember it spiked up to 580 or somewhere recently.
Oh, you mean you want to go like monthly?
Yeah, or weekly maybe. Yeah, look at those. I mean, look at that huge monthly reversal. They're deathly. I mean, it's kind of like, it's almost looking like the dust. Natural gas. It looks like it's going to break down to.
It's like nobody's ever going to get cold again.
So, right. Well, it's just too much gas in the world today. We've gone from a dearth to a flood. I mean, you know, there's so much gas, they're burning it off all over the, you know, it's amazing that the air is still so clean, that with the amount of gas being flared in the United States today is just shocking, because they can't pipe it. They don't have the capacity to pipe the gas. So if you could put up the U.S. dollar.
Oh yeah, sure.
Remember, we're probably seeing the biggest down week in the U.S. dollar in a long time right now. So.
Okay, there's daily.
Yeah, so you could, well, at a minimum, we should be coming down to about 95.50 on the dollar. Just even if it's still bullish, you know, if this is just a kind of a pullback.
Right.
If you can put up the weekly, I think that one looks you get a better picture of, you know, when these an outside week. Yeah, well, an outside week is about the most reliable sell signal in the universe. So that is very, now sometimes with an outside week, The following week, you can get a reprieve. It can go back up one time into the range of an outside week. But beyond that, and that could happen, that might be if gold was to pull back to 1375 or something, maybe there'll be a little bit of a pop in the dollar, which will push the gold price down. But once these lows around 96.25 are taken out, either right here or after a bit of a rally next week, and then we really start heading down, I think it's all over for the dollar, frankly. And I think we're going to go down dramatically in the dollar. Because I mean, if you're looking at it another way, how many chances has the dollar had to try and get through that 98 area? It's been trying for a year and hasn't been able to do it.
Yeah.
In spite of it all. In spite of it all. And then look, if you squeeze it up a bit and you look at the larger picture, it doesn't. It's actually potentially very, very bearish indeed. I mean, if this is even if this is a three-way pullback, I mean, just look at the measured move. I mean, it really does take you down to 82.
Yeah, no, it would. Certainly would. Certainly would.
But there'll be, America's going to feel very, very prosperous if that happens. I mean, the only thing they're not going to feel prosperous because the dollar's weaker. But within the borders of the United States, prosperity is there's going to be a definite feeling of prosperity because wages are going to go up, and it's just the way the world works. There's going to be a boom around the world because the weaker dollar is going to be very, very bullish for the U.S. It's going to be bullish for stocks. It's going to be unbelievably bullish for stocks. It's going to be bullish for U.S. companies. The Dow stocks are going to be doing fantastic because 2/3 of their revenues come from overseas. So, relatively speaking, and not only that, because the U.S. is going to become more competitive as the dollar goes down, it's going to attract more investment and more companies are going to move to the U.S. So it's just perfect. It's a perfect formula for this particular phase of the world. It's just we're in a dollar down cycle, and thanks to Trump, the down cycle was postponed, but it's probably going to accelerate downwards because of that right now. But don't underestimate the power of these down cycles, because almost every one of them, the dollar gets cut in half eventually. Sooner or later, the dollar loses 50% of its value in a down cycle. And we've got about 3 years to run, 3 to 4 years still to run on the down cycle. Actually, about 4 years to run. So.
Okay. Anything else you want to cover?
No. Well, listen. If you want to pull up Lou Dobbs last night, it's worth listening to for everybody if you want to play it.
If I try to play it from here, John, the audio won't come through. It's a problem.
Well, look, for the benefit of the audience, Lou Dobbs last night. Go to minute 26. It's a 34-minute show. Go to minute 26 and listen to that, because it's really just an outstanding expose of this whole thing.
Right? Lou Dobbs tonight, 6:20.
Yeah, they might have it in a clip. Looks like that clip. They may have already done what I'm suggesting and put it into a clip, so you don't have to go to minute 26. But
I'm putting the link into the chat box for everybody.
Okay, great.
So, it said full. Let me back up, because if this one says full, then they must. You're right. They probably do have one that they've clipped. I'll watch this after the show, and I'll put it in the Telegram channel as well.
Okie doke. So there was a lot of apparently Trump did an interview with Telemundo, the first Hispanic interview he's done, and I caught a little bit of it. And they were asking, this guy was trying to put Trump in a spot like they always do, saying, is Mexico an enemy or a friend? And I think Trump says Mexico's an amigo. That was quite quite funny.
Mexico's an amigo?
Came out, no, something like that. No, he gave a big smile. He said, no. He says, no, we're friends with Mexico and all that. So it's kind of.
When he gets started being president, he could do a show in Vegas. He's developed a pretty witty.
It's going to be interesting. I tell you what's going to be interesting is when he actually finally gets together with the Mexican president one of these days. I think it's going to be interesting because you're going to see the first president of a country fly commercial into Washington to meet him, because he doesn't even. I think he turns down offers of free rides. He just
really.
So that's going to be a first. Also, in contrast with Trump, he does a press a press conference every day, 7 o'clock in the morning. He hasn't missed a single day since he started, and that's pretty incredible. So he's a formidable force, and it's going to be interesting to see how these two guys get. I think they're going to get on real well, actually, especially now that they're working, much more in concert with each other. So it's going to be, and that's probably going to happen within the next few months, and it's going to be quite a. It's interesting to see how it all plays out. It may be, because there's a lot of similarities between the two people. He's kind of like a Mexican Trump in a lot of ways, this Mexican president. So, I mean, how he got on real well with the Brazilian president, so it's probably going to be something similar to that. Boy, this pound is strong today. Check out the pound, Dwayne. It looks it's really on fire.
Pound, US dollar. Yeah, it does.
Are you taking off big time in the last?
Yeah. What's the euro doing?
Same, real strong. Okay, look at that.
Wow.
And the Swiss.
Wow.
That's.
Get it backwards, huh?
That's the dollar against the Swiss.
There's a Swiss franc currency index.
There you go. Look at that gap, son of a gun.
Wow.
Jesus.
That's really something.
Double breakaway gap. Look at that. Can you squeeze it up a bit?
Sure.
It's a super powerful looking chart. Jeepers. Yeah, so when the Swiss is really strong, one of the theories, I got a call from Switzerland this morning, and a fellow was explaining to me that when the Swiss is this strong, it's usually because there's trouble ahead and banks may go under and people move their money into Switzerland ahead of a crisis. So it's kind of an interesting theory. If you could look at a bit more of that, that would be great. If you can squeeze it up even more, because it's really is.
On a weekly.
Okay, it doesn't look, but look at the base on that thing. Jeepers, this thing could really fly. I think the Swiss, we were actually talking, and between us, I said, I think the Swiss is going to go back to 140 on this run, which is a huge up move.
Yeah.
And that would be the equivalent of the dollar. That would be the equivalent of the dollar going down to 82. So it all fits. It's starting to fit the picture.
Yes, it is.
How about can you put the euro on that chart, on that longer chart?
Yeah.
Yeah, the super dynamic chart on this euro. Wow, look at that. You can see this euro going up to 145, 150.
Sure.
And the pound. Yeah, the pound's sort of bad boy.
Yeah.
It's only just getting off its backside here, but it can go a long way. It can go a long way still. This is a double bottom here in a potential bull market. We had the bull phase up to here, when we got up to 145, pull back. The next up phase is just like gold. We could go really big on the pound here, up to 150, 160. I think we got. This is what's going on with gold. We're in a whole new mega trend in this gold, and obviously the market, the dollar. I mean, look, the dollar is really, really weak today, and if we don't pop back up inside this last week, if we're not able to rally, on this dollar next week, you're probably going to see some pretty big trends in the markets all over the place. Because if the dollar gaps down on Sunday night, which it could do, we might be living in a whole different world we haven't seen in a while. There's something really remarkable could be going on, and there could be a gap up in the metals, at the same time. So
and this situation with Iran could intensify over the weekend, so that could affect Sunday night's pullback. So
exactly. By the way, the lumber after a pullback is heading back up again today, too. The grains are taking a bit of a breather, but you've got to be kind of looking to buy dips on the grains based on how well they've been doing lately. So, and a lot of this is going to translate to higher prices across the board in the coming months, which ultimately will be supportive. Will be supportive of the metals. If these inflation indicators come out strong. So, so listen. Have a great weekend. Thanks very much for the invite, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Very good. Talk to you over the weekend.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Okay, folks, good word for the day. We're going to talk about good success. Hope you're having some. Joshua 1:8 says, then you will have good success. When Joshua became leader of Israel in place of Moses, God told him in Joshua 1:8, this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. There are two kinds of success. There's the success that fulfills God's will for your life, and the success that is temporal, the success that leaves you feeling empty and dies when you die. Boris Becker, the world championship tennis player, reportedly contemplated suicide because of the sheer emptiness he experienced in life. Even though he appeared to be successful, he knew his life wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. He said, I won Wimbledon twice before, once as the youngest player. He said, I was rich. I had all the material possessions I needed. I had money, I had cars, I had women, I had everything. I know this is a cliche. It is the old song of the movie and pop stars who commit suicide. They have everything, and yet they are so unhappy. Boris says, I had no inner peace. I was a puppet on a string. George MacDonald once said, in whatever man does without God, he must fail miserably or succeed more miserably. Now, do you know why that statement is true? Because without God, all success ends in failure, meaning it simply doesn't satisfy. Jesus' definition of a fool was this in Luke 12:21. Every man is a fool who gets rich on earth, but not in heaven. Good success, which is what I want for you, is putting God in first place and allowing Him to put everything together for you. That's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is the weekend. CFRN Charter dictates that you must spend quality time with the family. Of course, I'll see you in church on Sunday. Thanks again for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.